If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu, plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. It looks a little bit different, doesn't it, here today? I'm Jeff Parles. Happy to be with you. There it is. There is our new sleek blackjack table desk here at the studio. Yeah, it's nice. It's real nice. I almost said to our guy Vince this morning, someone should have brought some chips over. We could have had some fun. We plenty of people with dealing experience on staff, right? I mean, just ask Chris, Vinny, Jimmy, any of them. Go right there, deal some blackjack. I mean, this would be a great place for the South Point Studio Celebrity Blackjack Tournament that none of us would be good enough of a celebrity to go to, right? Yeah, pretty much. All right, so we got a good time here on the show today. We'll have Duane Colucci in a few moments here. So we we are in great shape here at the South Point. A few days away from the Super Bowl. The packet's been out for about a week. Here it is, right in front of me. All of the prop bets here between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs, of course, looking to go 3 straight championships. It would be the first ever team to win 3 straight Super Bowls if they get it done. Look, it's been a very interesting bet game so far. I know there's a lot of people out there just complaining about things, but guys, it's the Super Bowl. We got the 2 best teams. How are we complaining here? How are we complaining right now? Kansas City's down to 1, back to the original opener here at the South Point. So Chris and company opened at 1, went up to 2, went back down the ladder. 2 days ago, went back to the 1. Remember, dime line here at the South Point. So the best numbers, you want the best number on the Chiefs in Las Vegas to win on the money line? Right here, behind me. You want the best number on Philadelphia on the money line? No debate about that. Right behind me. Plus 105, minus 115, those are your best numbers. Chris and company do it right with the dime line on that for sure. By the way, I'll tell you this. So Ryan McCormick, I meant to send this to you the other day, and I did not, because I did my prop doc, as I call it, for the Super Bowl. I ended up making it to page 3 of a Google Doc for potential props to be played. Now, the process that I do, and I won't be revealing any prop plays today. There'll be a few that go on punchlines tomorrow at noon, and then the rest will be revealed on Saturday and Sunday morning shows. But my list, the only things that I know I will have in pocket, 100% sure I will have Patrick Mahomes to win the MVP of this game. I have Saquon Barkley to win the MVP of this game in my pocket. Oh, both of them. Because I just do not see a path for Kansas City winning this game without Mahomes winning the MVP, unless the only other person on Kansas City that I think could even remotely come close to winning the MVP would be if Travis Kelce has one of those 3 touchdowns, 110 yards, some ridiculously all-time game. No running back can win it, no defensive player can win it on Kansas City. On Philadelphia's end, yeah, you can argue the quarterback. You can argue Jalen Hurts, of course, on that regard. But I don't know. I don't know the Hurts angle more so than the Barkley angle. The Barkley angle is he goes off, has a big game, could be in a scenario where that ends up happening with ease. No doubt about that. But you're in a scenario where, to me, if Hurts is going to steal the MVP award from a Saquon Barkley scenario, it would be one of those where Hurts has to have a similar game to what he did 2 years in the Super Bowl, where he was basically dead even with Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. But now, again, I don't know. I just think this is not the greatest of matchups for Kansas City's defense versus Jalen Hurts. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll have Duane Colucci, we'll have Danny Burke through the show. When we get back, Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. No, I know we are. I saw him say that. Can you hear him at least or no? He can't hear me. Now you can? Now you can? Okay, good. Okay. And I hear you. Play another minute. Yeah, we're good. Sorry, Duane. I saw you.
Get ready to laugh.
We have a new desk, as you see.
Frank Nicotero. Join Frank and his team of featured guests for your daily dose of comedy.
Reno, the Pittsburgh of the West.
Poison.
Yeah.
Poison.
Yeah, it is.
Falcons.
Hey, look, it means we're going to stick around, right, Duane? I mean, that's the biggest thing.
After 2 games.
Yeah.
Okay, me. I was.
And the funniest social media posts.
People want to show off the food. Boom. Wiener on a guy's shoulder. It's the Dark Colts. We bleed blue.
It's your one-stop spot for great laughs and a good time. Find us on YouTube at Punchlines FN. And join the chat live weekdays at noon Pacific for the ultimate blend of jokes, sports, and viral fun.
Welcome back in. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. Jeff Parles here. Sean, take the wide shot. Take the wide shot, my friend, real quick, because we got a new desk. New desk. Look at that. Get your bets up. Get them ready. See, there you go. You got to get them in the. You got to make sure they're in the circle before the dealer deals. Right here at the South Point studio now. Joining us, our good friend. You hear him every Thursday here on the program. Our good friend Duane Colucci up at the Rampart in Summerlin, Las Vegas. Of course, the Rampart book, a part of the Gone Gaming family for sports books. Duane, happy Thursday before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, definitely. Calm before the storm, right, Jeff? You sound like you're already losing your voice, so you better keep it going. You got hours to go, brother.
I will be fine. I will be fine. Duane, on the first show of the week, and just to go between how the sausage is made for just the week ahead for me. The first 5 minutes of the show on Thursday, which is my Monday during football season, sometimes it sounds like I'm throwing bullpen pitches still. I'll be just fine. I'm not really worried about it here, Duane. So DC, let's just start before we get into bets that have been bet pretty heavily up at your shop, just the game itself, because we just talked about the line last week. I didn't really get your thoughts on the game, so let's just start there. Of course, we're Kansas City 1-point favorites right now. The total's been bet to the under. Has been stuck on 49 for the better portion of a week now. Duane, I'm curious because we talked about it all year where the question of Philadelphia wasn't the talent, it was the head coach. The Kansas City thing was how can they keep winning these close games? But here they are. In my opinion, the two best teams in the NFL, the proper two teams matching up in New Orleans in 3 days from now.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. I mean, when you look at it, this is what we wanted from a handle perspective, as well as the excitement for the consumer and the fans. The NFL put together a good product this year. The AFC was really, really stacked, guys, as you could see. It was phenomenal. You had Buffalo playing at a top level. You had Lamar Jackson, who may win the MVP, playing at a top level. You had two more teams emerge in the same division as the Kansas City Chiefs in the Los Angeles Chargers, and Denver was a surprise. Pittsburgh played well. So the AFC was really stacked. And, as the season went on in the NFC, you started to realize that Detroit was definitely beatable. Some of the top teams, they stepped into the playoffs. I mean, Tampa Bay, they made the playoffs, but I mean, they couldn't beat Dallas 3 weeks prior to the playoffs in the drive. Green Bay, you saw that they were really, really banged up, in my opinion. Minnesota, you just waited for Darnold to come back to the pack, and San Francisco eliminated themselves very early. So you did have the Commanders who were playing at a top level with a rookie quarterback. And you had Philadelphia, who was just phenomenal, throughout the season. The acquisition of Saquon Barkley was very prominent and definitely the measuring stick for the Philadelphia Eagles. It turned the corner for them. They had problems with coaching staffs, with Hurts and Brown being on the same page, but they were able to overcome all that. So, yeah, definitely, Jeff, these are the two top teams in the NFL. The money so far, if it's an indicator, has been swayed the way of the Eagles. My property took a large bet on the Eagles as soon as we put the numbers up, basically on the money line. So, this is a very interesting game. The Chiefs, like you said, they didn't have the greatest spread record, but now you're dealing with a team who hasn't given up a 100-yard rusher in the playoffs in God knows how long. I mean, it's been games and games. I think it's like 15 to 18 games or something like that, which is just a phenomenal stat. And you have to keep your eye on this because they're going to look to run the ball, the Eagles, as a part of their offense and a major part of their offense. So, I definitely think this is a wide open game. I like the Eagles' chances, but you still have to beat the Chiefs. You have to beat all those fans. You have to beat all the Swiftie parody, all the Travis Kelce happenings. It's going to be a fabulous, fabulous game, and we're just looking forward to it as bookmakers. And we did take initial action on the under here, so a lot of people are used to that slow start in the Super Bowl, and that could easily happen once again. Teams sometimes are tentative, but you would think a team like the Chiefs with so much experience, Jeff, they're going to come out and look to really run the ball, pass the ball, use their weapons, use Pacheco, use Kareem Hunt. It's just going to be a great game, in my opinion.
Hey, look, it's the two best teams to me. And the only thing I feel confident in is that this game will be close. That's the only thing that I feel confident, Duane. If you told me this is the year Kansas City finally loses in the Super Bowl for the first time since the 2020 season, yeah, Philadelphia more than talented enough to beat them. If you told me Patrick Mahomes found a way again in the close game, of course, you can't really argue with either of those scenarios. That's the only thing I feel confident in. Again, I'll have a pick by Sunday. I'm not really worried about that. We always find a way to figure out what we pick in this game by the time we reach Sunday morning. By the way,
we'll have a wager somewhere along the way.
Well, as I said to Ryan, as I said in the opening segment, and I meant to send this to Ryan. So the way I do props and my bets for the Super Bowl on about a week before the game, I'll go through everything. I let the markets mature. I'm not an originator when it comes to the props. It's just not the way I bet. And I have a whole document. This year, I have a 2-page Google Doc with all potential plays for this go-around, Duane, which I will tell you, I will not play all of them. I'll probably play about 5 to 10% of them, but at least I kind of have an idea of what it is. The only problem this year, Duane, I have a few too many overs, which is always a little bit scary, but the last time these teams met in the Super Bowl, the game went way the heck over in that 38-35 game 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was a score fest, and definitely now you have even more firepower, in my opinion, on the Philadelphia side. But you're going to see some defense in this game, definitely, Jeff. But I wouldn't be too leery if you have over in some of these props. You have some very flashy superstars here. Patrick Mahomes knows how to get the ball down the field. He knows how to use his legs. Same thing with Jalen Hurts. And, there's going to be a lot of different wrinkles. I'm seeing a lot of under action at my properties, no on certain 2-point conversion, no on the safety, no on anything basically. Will the game go to overtime? So a lot of the sharp action came in on those early on, but you know how the sharps are. Sometimes it could be just hedging off action, where they got a better number at a different property or so and so forth. So Jeff, I really wouldn't be too scared because, like you said, when you have two teams that put up nearly 75 points the last time they played in the Super Bowl, and you have a similar atmosphere. The game is also indoors. Keep that in mind. It's not outdoors. You don't have any weather playing a factor in any sense of the game. It's going to be really a great handle. We're looking forward to it. And just, everybody has an opinion. That's what's great about the Super Bowl, Jeff. So like you said, you have plenty of time to make your wagers, and people will be betting up to kickoff, betting in-game wagering, betting during halftime. So you have plenty of time to weed through your propositions and figure out the ones that you like the best. Keep your eye at these injury reports. Will be very prominent within the next couple of days. Who's cramping up, who's feeling a little sore. So keep your eye on that as well, because that plays a factor into your propositions. But this is going to be great two-way action in this game. I'm sensing it already. Initial Eagle money. I sense the Chiefs money will come in late. We got the 105 VIG here at the Rampart and South Point. That just creates so much more handle, Jeff, when you look at it from all angles, just because it's a great deal that is over the counter only. Remember, you have to come see me, you have to come see Chris, Jimmy, or Vinny, and definitely you get that 105 on the game sides, and it's just a great deal. We run that promotion every year at the Rampart in the South Point, and it's just a great marketing tool to get more and more handle, especially on the game itself. And that's why I always explain, you got a million propositions. We got like 20 pages here at the Rampart in South Point. But when you're dealing with that 105 VIG, you're going to have much more on the decision on the game just because you have that 105 VIG. Yet the ticket count will be superior to the propositions.
I will tell you this, Duane, and you just mentioned it. Everyone has an opinion on this game by the time it kicks. I'm just doing my PSA here, as you and I talked about last week. If you want a mobile app, go see Duane. Go see Duane today, tomorrow, or Saturday. Go see him Saturday. There's 150 college basketball games. You'll have plenty of things to bet on Saturday too, leading in to this game on Sunday. And also too, make sure you get your bets in on time. You have 2 weeks to bet this game. Make sure you get everything in on time. Duane, we have a guest in studio here. That we'll have set up in a moment here. But Duane, before we get him set, I'm not letting him go, Chris. Don't worry. But Duane, I want to at least go to some props that you have taken some big action on. We talked about this a little bit last week, but we'll bring it to the audience here today. You took a nice little sized whack on the no safety there up at your shop right at the beginning of those numbers coming up last week.
Yeah, we did, definitely. And, that was a $22,000 wager at minus 1,100. Very surprising because you did see that run out of the end zone in the playoffs by the Chiefs. And the Chiefs do a lot of strange things, as does Sirianni. So, that's why I said to you, I'm very surprised that a lot of these no propositions and a lot of these, there will not be overtime. There was overtime in a Chief game. As you could see on the graphic there, you got the straight bet of the 22, like I spoke of. We also had that Eagle money line. We got a lot of no propositions. Will Mahomes first touchdown be over 9.5? Just a great proposition menu that Chris has put forth, and it's just a credit that we take these larger bets. That's what we market, and just come over the counter. Come and see us, and you're going to get the action that you want here at the Rampart in South Point, and Chris will attest to that.
Is Chris set up, Ryan? Sean, maybe. I don't know. We'll check in a second. But Duane, you mentioned it. You mentioned it there. 22K on a no safety to win $2,000. You had the $2,200 bet on Mahomes. That was one that caught me off guard a little bit. The under passing yardage for Mahomes' first touchdown, Duane. Took 2,200 on that, which is an interesting bet. That's a fun one, actually. That's actually quite a sweat at 9.5. So basically, will his first touchdown pass be a single-digit yard touchdown pass is the bet on that one. We do have Chris Andrews. There you go. You see him in the top left of your screen. Chris, what do you think of the new desk?
Can you deal me a hand of Omaha?
I see. Oh.
That's my game. I like Omaha. Hey, I just want to get on while Colucci was here. Duane, I know you're busy on the show with Jeff. I just went to the money line. This is for everybody. Went to the money line, minus a dime and even.
There we go. So,
10 cents, the best.
10 cents.
I mean, the best. The 105, the 10 cents. I love the story that Michael was beating up Chris with the 118.
When I went
we
to
got to keep round numbers now.
Yeah.
We have to keep. There's no pennies anymore.
He's telling me you look like a Mickey Mouse operation. I said, no, we don't, Michael. You look on the chart. Everybody's using pennies. You know the way it is, Duane. You can't argue with him. I said, okay, whatever you want, sir. That's what we're going to do. Anyway, I just wanted to let the whole world know, and especially Colucci, I got him on there, minus a dime even. But I got to tell you, so you could take the Eagles +1 and lay 105, or bet them to win the game. This is a game where one might show up.
I agree with you.
So I mean, for an extra nickel, I mean, I think now you're looking at a real option. You want to, save the juice, bet no juice, and get even money. Or pay 5 cents and get 1 point. I think 1 point, in a game like this might mean something.
I agree with you. Now that you're down to even on the Eagles side, I agree with you now that the 5 cent difference as opposed to the 10 cent difference. But I'll say this, as I said in the open, forget the city now. The best place on the planet to bet the Kansas City Chiefs now is right behind us,
and I'm looking
up
for
at
a
the
bet
Rampart.
on the Chiefs.
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah.
I just did all the what ifs, Colucci. And I talked to Michael yesterday, and I told him how much we need him for. I said, Michael, we've been in a lot worse positions. We need Kansas City for a pretty big number. That's not the worst place to be. I don't know the winner of the game, but
Look, Nia, you've brought it up all year on Football Friday. You've needed Kansas City a ton this year. Now they haven't covered a lot, but how many of these games have been sub-3 this year? Not many of them.
Not that many, no.
So,
anyway, Jeff, go ahead. Have a good show, everybody. I just want to get on here and announce to the world. We got probably the best. Well, Jeff just told you the best price in the world anywhere. If you're looking to bet Kansas City. And we're certainly, we'd be more than willing to take a $200,000 bet at that number.
So there we go.
Come on in.
All right.
See you guys.
Big players.
Thanks,
you heard it right here.
Jeff, like Chris said, a lot of these games this year, he'll attest to. How many games did we get sided on where it did land on one, where it did land right on the number here? And we're looking to avoid that again. So, we didn't do all that great this year. Everybody thinks bookies are just building sports books here. It was an exciting season to be a bookmaker because a lot of these games we got sided and middled. So, yes, the best deal in the world on the Kansas City Chiefs. And like you guys said, a great position to be in. You basically have the Tom Brady of the 2020s at your helm and a great head coach. You got Travis Kelce. You got all these people in America watching this team. Definitely a good position to be in. So, I wouldn't be upset riding with the Chiefs as well.
So Duane, just going through that here, and I know we talked about opinions on the game here, but even though I haven't made up my mind exactly what side I'm going to play in this game yet, I just keep getting to the fact. And again, you guys have needed the Chiefs a lot this year. They're under 500 against the number, which is kind of amazing in all honesty that they're in the Super Bowl. They were underwater against the number last year, won the Super Bowl. Even if they win this game and cover the one, they will still end up a game under 500. Now my math is wrong there. Yeah. They'll end up 9-11 against the number if they cover this game, Duane.
What was that other stat there, Jeff? That they scored under 35 points, I believe. And they 15 wins with under 35 points scored in a game. Just a phenomenal team.
Duane, last week was the first time all season they exceeded 30. The first time.
Unbelievable.
When they needed it, they exceeded it. But again, and Duane, I hate to bring up bad memories, and I did this to my dad, who was a big Knicks fan during the Jordan era. But it's kind of what it is for that, what it is, where you, for the AFC teams, at least, like, if Josh Allen played in a different era, he probably has been to a Super Bowl at least twice, probably won one already. Same deal with Lamar Jackson. Burrow may have been back already a second time. They may need to make the playoffs first before making a Super Bowl again, but that's a different discussion for a different time. But this is kind of what it is, like those teams in the 90s for the Eastern Conference where, like, Reggie Miller never made the finals until Jordan was out of the league. The Knicks only made the finals once when Jordan wasn't in the league.
Out of the league,
exactly. I mean, the only team to beat a Jordan Bulls team in the 90s when he was there was Shaq and Penny Hardaway when Jordan played barely a quarter of a season at that point. It's just kind of the same deal with this Chiefs team at this point.
Yeah, when you have a juggernaut, it becomes very difficult. Not everybody's the New York Giants. And you saw that with the Brady era. I mean, Brady, it was just so difficult to beat. Now it comes down to where Patrick Mahomes is so hard to defeat. And, when you have a legend like Mahomes, like Michael Jordan, it's going to be tough on the opponent. You seem to be in a losing formula, like you said. Philadelphia doesn't want to fall into that, but they definitely can with another Super Bowl loss, as Josh Allen has already. It's like Andy Reid hanging on to Josh Allen's ankle like Jeff Van Gundy was hanging on to Alonzo Mourning's ankle. They score a lot of low points, very physical type of game. But then when you need that big explosion, here it comes. And, definitely the Chiefs are battle tested. They've been here, done that. They know the routine. They don't get enamored in the limelight. You could see that obviously with the Taylor Swift magnification. I mean, this team has so many more eyes watching them on a weekly basis just because of that. And people believe that's a silly analogy, but they're under the microscope and they don't feel pressure. And that's what definitely wins championships. This could be 3 in a row, Jeff. This is unprecedented at the NFL level. I always wanted my Cowboys to accomplish that in the 90s. I thought that was the measuring stick of possibly the greatest team ever. This could be done. It's going to be a great, great game this Sunday. If
Kansas City wins, they're the first team to ever win 3 consecutive Super Bowls. Of course, there were teams that did it pre-Super Bowl era, but again, we're talking since the Green Bay Packers. Well, the Packers nearly did 3 in a row right out of the chute. But
AFL, NFL.
Yeah, the AFL, NFL Super Bowl until Super Bowl 5. But look, Duane, it is it's going to be a great game. The action's going to be great. Obviously, great stuff here at the South Point. If you want to watch the watch party upstairs, watching the sports book, watching the showroom, but also too, you guys are having some great stuff on the day of the Super Bowl as well up at the Rampart.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a casino-wide party. We have invited guests. It's just going to be off the hook. We're going to have the 55-foot video wall fired up, drop-down screens throughout the casino. Every TV will be broadcasting the big game, $13 beer bucket specials, all sorts of food delivered in the Race It Sportsbook, Clubhouse Deli specials. Just a phenomenal, phenomenal time. We have the 105 VIG special. We have parlay cards. We're rolling out everything we can. T-shirts. What a great scenario and great atmosphere at the Rampart Race It Sportsbook. Come and join us. And of course, we do not charge in the Race It Sportsbook. We do not charge for parking. Old school Las Vegas, just like Mr. Gorn at South Point. Michelle knows what to do over here. Great run property at the Rampart Casino. Come and enjoy the greatest game and greatest sporting event for the year.
Duane Colucci, everyone, up at the Rampart. NYBookie Duane on the tweets. Duane, thank you as always. We will see you again next week, and we'll be looking at a lot of hockey and a lot of college hoops next week, Duane. But enjoy the game, enjoy everything that comes with it.
Thank you, Jeff, and everybody out there. Enjoy the game, cash some tickets, and don't forget, come out to the Rampart and South Point, -105 on the sides. Current line Chiefs are -1.
-1, -110 on the money line right now on Kansas City. The best number, period, anywhere on the Kansas City Chiefs, if you think they're going to three-peat in this game. Duane, thank you, as always. All right, let's take a quick break, and we get back on the other side. Our good friend Danny Burke, Stochastic OddShopper, will join us next. We'll have a bunch of props. We've got a lot to get to with Danny Burke on the other side, Sports by the Book.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back in. It's Sports by the Book at a new desk here at the South Point studio. I'm Jeff Parles. Joining me right now, our good friend Danny Burke from the city of Chicago, OddShopper, Stochastic. DB, we have a new desk. It's the 2 weeks finally happened. It showed up. So just in time for the big game. And Danny, it's a pleasure as always to have you on, man.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks as always for allowing me to come on. And yeah, happy to see you guys. I guess what? You're upgrading before the big game. So good for you, Jeff. You're getting your pedestal a little bit higher over there at South Point. So love to see it, my friend. And absolutely excited for the big game with the Chiefs and Eagles. And man, I mean, again, it's this, culmination of everything leading up into it. Then you have the 2-week break. So it's finally like a sigh of relief once we actually get the kickoff. Looking forward to it.
Danny, I have to correct one thing you said there. The pedestal actually got brought down because the desk is lower to the ground here than the previous one. But it's a great upgrade. Staff did an amazing job putting this desk together, and we're thrilled to have it. And also, too, you can get your blackjack bets ready to go, Danny. You don't even have to. You can get ready for that. All right, Danny. I want to just start with what you have in pocket, what you're probably going to bet as we go through this. But I just want to start with, we talked about this months ago. You have a nice sized future on the Eagles at 14-1 on Philadelphia that you took before the season, which not bad to have your only preseason future bet make it to the final 2 here. But Danny, what are you going to end up doing here? Are you going to end up taking now that the line is starting to crash on KC? Are you going to take a little back on Kansas City here? What would you suggest for what you're going to do, for what other people with Philadelphia futures might want to do here if you're trying to at least get some money in your pocket on a future that got to this point?
Yeah, I mean, the reason that I took Philadelphia heading into this season, Jeff, is my lone Super Bowl future here was because, 1, the price, and 2, because of the outlook of the NFC. I mean, I thought they would arguably be a top 2 team on that side of the conference, and obviously that came to fruition. But the point was that if they at least had gotten to the NFC Championship, which of course they did, then I could be in a position to where I could even hedge from that point on at a price of 14-1. You bring on Saquon Barkley. The defense looked like it was going to improve. I didn't know it was going to be as great as it ended up being. And then you still had talent surrounding Jalen Hurts with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and you have that experience from a couple years ago. They just needed to stay healthy, and they had a very open path in the NFC. So again, it was one of those, hey, the price is at 14-1 right now. You still have all this talent, camaraderie, experience. Realistically, it's not going to be there, and you're expecting them to at least get into the playoffs. You'll be in a good position from that point on. So again, feeling very fortunate with the position I'm in with them at 14-1. With that being said, yeah, I think I'm going to hedge here to get some profit one way or the other. I mean, again, it's a great price here, and I don't want to leave being disappointed and being empty-handed at the end of it. And it comes down to a lot of factors, but it's funny. If I was just looking at this from a pure statistical standpoint, Jeff, and I didn't have any skin in the game, I would absolutely be attracted toward the side of Philadelphia. I mean, the defense alone shows you what potential separation there is. You look at just what PFF grades these teams out to be, and you have the overall defense number one with Philadelphia leading the way, Kansas City right behind them, though. Coverage first for Philadelphia, run defense second for Philadelphia, Kansas City 5th and 10th in those categories respectively. You want to take it a step further, though, when you look at EPA and success rate. EPA per play allowed, Philadelphia second, Kansas City is 17th. Success rate, Philadelphia second, Kansas City 16th. That's regular season and postseason, by the way. And I could keep going on and on, but there is a sizable separation, particularly when you look at EPA and success rate that favors Philadelphia. And you look at other things like opponent yards per completion allowed, edge goes to Philadelphia, red zone defense, so on and so forth. Offensively, Philadelphia, according to PFF, has a better overall offense, 5th, Kansas City 13th. And the pass is really the advantage that you have with Kansas City. And that's evident just by watching these teams, right? We know that Philadelphia hones in on the running aspect, and Patrick Mahomes is a much better quarterback than Hurts. Yes, there's a potential of Jalen Hurts, but a lot of times when he's succumbed to the pressure, that's when he's faltered. So it's really pretty cutthroat here. You're right down the middle, and based on the odds and just a lot of the defensive advantages, you would probably gravitate toward Philadelphia. The two biggest things, though, because of knowing these teams, it comes down to the most important facets being quarterback and coaching. And the advantage there is, I feel like all of us would probably agree, resides with Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is the better quarterback. Andy Reid is the much better coach than Nick Sirianni. Now, despite all the turmoil and the volatility, whatever you want to call it, that's been occurring with Sirianni on the sidelines this year, he got his team to the big game. So you got to give credit where credit's due, but still, it's Andy freaking Reid against Sirianni, and there's still a lot of questions that are up in the air about Sirianni. And again, to a certain extent, you got to bring that back because of his leadership has gotten him to what now, 2 big games. So again, you still got to give him his respect, but clearly you have to give the edge to Kansas City in those departments. And as gross or maybe as uncomfortable, I guess you could say, as Kansas City has made you feel by watching them or even betting on them this year in the last, I mean, because they win these games uncomfortably and they don't do it in impressive fashion. At the end of the day, they're still finding a way to win. That's all that matters for them. And they got to this point in a very tough AFC. And it's just all of those things combined from kind of the outside perspective, from just a pure statistical standpoint, Kansas City has that edge. So if I didn't have anything involved, I would still lean toward Kansas City. I'm fortunate because I have that future with Philadelphia, but I am going to set myself up for a position to win money either way. But I would look at the side of Kansas City, so I am going to be hedging and taking a piece of them. And as you alluded to, the line's actually coming down in favor of Philadelphia. So I'm getting a little bit better price on Kansas City, and I haven't really checked this morning, but hoping I can get to about minus 110 out in my neck of the woods. And I'm not going to wait right before kickoff, Jeff, because realistically, I think it is going to keep coming down toward Philly. Then you'll get some buyback. At least that's my assumption, that you'll get that toward KC. So, yeah, that's the way I'm approaching it, man.
You know, it's so interesting because I'm just going to go back to the point of, if you didn't have the hedging opportunity, if you're going straight up, you think the Eagles roster is better, which I agree on that. Like, the Eagles defense actually is probably the best unit in this game. The Eagles defense is the best unit in this game, but it's Patrick Mahomes on the other side. Again, this is such a hard handicap. And I'll go back to our mutual friend Will Hill said this on Bear Bets a few weeks ago, and then Chris Felica brought it to our show, in reference to the AFC title game. If you bet on Kansas City and Buffalo won, it's like, okay, of course this was the year that Buffalo is going to finally bust through and beat them. If you bet on Buffalo and then the result that happened, it's like, what the heck's wrong with me? Why did I bet against Patrick Mahomes again in a big game? But that's kind of the same sort of deal here. Like, if we're just going off of pure talent on the rosters, Philadelphia's clearly better, but then it's the better head coach, the better quarterback, and the better kicker also in this game, Danny.
Yes.
So, like, man, it's really difficult to just, as good as Philadelphia is, at least to me, it's hard to justify betting on the Eagles in this spot because the better quarterback, the better coach, and the better kicker are all in wearing white in this game. It's just such a weird dynamic in this one going into it, Danny.
You bring up an excellent point with the kicker. And, it's something I tweeted out a few weeks ago that Jake Elliott is going to cost the Eagles one of these postseason games. Now, granted, they are playing in a dome, so that certainly is going to help him. I think he's only missed one inside a dome this year, and that was like week 3, 50-plus yards against the Saints.
Well, Danny, what dome is that they're in this
right,
week?
Exactly, yeah. Full circle ending, right? But I've just been on this like anti-Jake Elliott, run for quite some time. He screwed me over for some game last year. You know how we are as bettors.
Oh, you know it.
These personal vendettas. So, like, in the back of my mind, anytime he misses, I text my friends and go, oh, there's Jake Elliott messing up once again. And then it got serious, and it was very real, especially against the Rams the other week, Jeff, where he's making these field goals in the snow game, but he's missing extra points. And, man, that last drive by the Rams got very, very frightening if you were backing the Eagles, if you're an Eagles fan, because Elliott has been showing you that he is a liability. It was like when the Bears had, thou shall not be named. And for anybody who doesn't know, I'm talking about Cody Parkey, of course. He was showing signs all year long. And then, of course, what happens? The double doink against the aforementioned Philadelphia Eagles. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm a Bears fan. That's why I don't say his name. We try not to utter it as often as possible. But, yeah, again, it came to fruition, and that could definitely be the case with Elliott. So that's a great point by you. Massive advantage in special teams going toward Kansas City with Butker on their side.
All right, Danny, let's start going through some of your bets in this game. By the way, as I've said already on the show, I'll be starting to reveal my bets starting tomorrow on Punchlines at noon. I'll send you the doc after the show, Danny. I currently have a 2+ page Google Doc of potential plays in this game. I'll play probably about 5 or 10% of them at most for the Super Bowl. But let's just start with this. One that hit my list as well. Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. Danny, I think it's as simple as if they get to the 1 yard line, he's scoring, which then I'll ask you this. Yeah. Have you thought about taking the shortest touchdown in this game under 1.5 yards because you like Jalen Hurts to score an anytime touchdown?
Yeah, I haven't gone too extensive outside of the normal props. Do you know what that price is for the under 1.5, at least out in your neck of the woods, what it's been around?
All right. Where do we open on this one, Ryan? We open at minus 180 on the under, right? We're still there. That's 30.71 and 30.72 there, Ryan. But that was the opener. I know some shops are a little bit steeper on the under, but that's where we're kind of in that pocket still, mostly across the city at minus 180 to minus 200 on that.
Yeah, and obviously that price makes sense because of Jalen Hurts, and then you have the security. Hey, if it's not going to be Jalen Hurts, could be Saquon Barkley, and if it's not going to be on the Eagles, absolutely could be on the side of Kansas City. So despite the chalkier price, yeah, I mean, I realistically, I think that is going to hit. And yeah, Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. I've been doing a weekly segment for my company for anytime touchdown bets, and Jalen Hurts has made several appearances. And a large part of the reason why, aside from him just consistently finding the end zone, he has 4 rushing touchdowns alone in the playoffs, 14 during the regular season, is, Jeff, the fact that they haven't really adjusted his price too much. I mean, when you look at an anytime touchdown bet, everybody wants to get the big plus money, and you want to get that price to cash out, and you feel great about that. At the end of the day, we're looking for winners, and we're looking for value. And minus 110 on Jalen Hurts right now in my neck of the woods, that screams value for someone who has 18 rushing touchdowns all year long. And like you said, if you get to about 2 yards or closer, it's pretty much inevitable that it's going to Jalen Hurts and inevitable that he is going to cross the plane. So Kansas City's red zone defense also has decreased the last couple of games, 67% red zone defensive efficiency throughout their 2 playoff games. They've been pretty good all year, of course, but look, this running scheme from Philadelphia is going to punch it down their throats at least 1 or 2 times near the red zone to set up Jalen Hurts. So, yeah, the price at minus 110 is just too good to pass up. I get that you're still laying a price, but guys, this should probably be around minus 150 based on what's happened from Jalen Hurts in the past.
So, Danny, just moving along here on these props because I want to get to a bunch of them. We'll keep it with quarterbacks and their legs here. Patrick Mahomes, by the way, minus 185 on the under 1.5 for the shortest. So the under has even taken a little more action. Patrick Mahomes rush attempts. You like over 5.5. I agree with you on this one, DB. What's the reasoning for this?
Yeah, look, Mahomes clearly utilizes his mobility more so in the postseason, right? The pressure's on. You're not worried about risking injury because you have to go all out in these type of games. So he creates more momentum offensively in this type of environment. We've seen it in the first 2 playoff games, 7 and 11 respectively with his rush attempts. The reason why you go with that over his rushing yards is certainly the kneel downs that scare you, but the kneel downs count as rushing attempts, right? So that can even bode even better for the over 5.5, which we see readily available across a lot of books. And again, with how good this Philadelphia defense is, Jeff, not only are there going to be several circumstances to where downfield the Kansas City Chiefs receivers are going to be covered up pretty well because his number one coverage, again, according to PFF, and then also just based on how often Mahomes may get hurried, he may get rushed, and that's going to force him out of the pocket to then scramble. So we've seen it be very successful with Mahomes in the past. Even some design runs, we've actually seen that tick up a bit. So yeah, 5.5 seems like a pretty good spot. Wouldn't bet it over that 5 in the hook, but if you get it there, yeah, I think that's a really good spot to look at Mahomes with his rushing props.
Danny, what do you think about Mahomes' longest rush in this game? So shop around on this one. The lowest number I saw was 11.5, but it was juiced weirdly. There are a lot of flat 12.5s out there. I actually think that's a reasonable one as well. And I agree with you. You have to be careful with the total rushing yards. Obviously, it's still ingrained in everyone's mind of the first 49ers Super Bowl where Mahomes was only over by 13 yards and then the kneel downs happened and then it was under before you could blink. But I think there are multiple ways to bet Mahomes' legs in this game like you do, Danny, on the attempts. I think I am going to end up betting the longest rush as well for him over as well.
Yeah, I like that play, and honestly, I probably would have put a wager on it myself, but out here in Illinois, I've only seen 12.5s, and I know that it was available at 11.5, so if it dips down, I'll probably take a piece of it. So, I agree with you. I think that's a bit more attractive than his total rushing yards, and certainly there could be a correlation, but again, as we know, the QB kneeling at the end of games potentially scares the hell out of you, and we've seen Mahomes go on a lot of these long runs, and if the coverage downfield is going to be blanketed, and it's pulling those defenders far back, that opens up the alleys for Mahomes to get that big run, which again, it just seems like it happens at least one time a game. I mean, speaking a little anecdotally, but still, I think that would be the alternative next best rushing prop to go with Patty Mahomes on.
All right, Danny, we talked about kickers earlier. We're going to Harrison Butker. He hasn't quite been the same dude since coming back from the knee surgery. And we do have to keep that in mind. He had knee surgery less than 6 weeks ago at this rate, or 2 months ago now. But over 1.5 field goals made, Danny, what do you got for that one?
Yeah, look, I like this bet in the sense that I do think he gets 2 field goals. The price, not so much. So I'm not going crazy with this bet here, Jeff, but minus 160 is the best that I've seen out here. And obviously that's a pretty steep play, especially for trusting a kicker. And if this game turns into either a very low scoring affair where you're not getting any field goal action, or it's very high scoring where it's only touchdowns, right? I mean, and if you're thinking it's lower scoring, realistically, you're probably going to get more field goals. But the point is, having to lay that much with a kicker is never enticing to a lot of people. But you're right, Jeff. I mean, Butker obviously looking a little different, and Kansas City's been more aggressive on these 4th and shorts and not utilizing Butker necessarily as much. But Philadelphia, because of how good their defense is, and we keep coming back to this, obviously we're going to, it's all part of the same thing. I think it is going to limit the Chiefs to a certain degree at various points in this game. And probably early on, you're going to get the Chiefs to settle for a field goal instead of potentially going for it in those aggressive situations and maybe setting up Philadelphia for a better offensive possession if you don't get it. So I think we're at least going to get 2 field goal attempts from Butker, and I'm putting enough, trust in him to make those. So again, minus 160 is steep. I get it if you don't want to attack that, but I do think Butker is primed for a pretty good spot here. And I kind of fall more into the camp, Jeff, that it is going to be on the lower scoring side. Obviously not enough to where they're going to get blanked, but enough to where these teams may be settling for more field goals.
Danny, keeping it moving. Danny Burke of OddShopper, Stochastic, where you can find Danny's work. let's get to the sack props here. You're looking on two Chiefs. Obviously, everyone very familiar with George Karlaftis' work at this point, but you're not only going on Karlaftis over a quarter of a sack, you're looking at Warden as well, has had a very nice postseason here this year.
Yeah, and I never bet these sack props. So because it's the big game, I'm kind of perusing a little bit more so throughout these wagers and props that are being offered to see if there's anything that stands out. And, DK is the one that offers the quarter sack props. I don't think anybody else does in my neck of the woods. So Karlaftis, over a quarter of a sack, minus 102. He leads the team in sacks. He's a young, energetic player, obviously has the speed to get around the corner. And he's faced the Eagles and Jalen Hurts twice. He's racked up 5 total tackles and 1 sack against them. 3 sacks this postseason for him, 8 during the regular season. He leads the team, taking a ton of snaps and, double the amount come against the pass as opposed to the run. So he's the guy, if anybody, that should be able to get to Jalen Hurts. And someone else who's right behind him is Wharton then. And I like him over the quarter of sack because you're getting a good price here at plus 210. Same pass rush rating as Karlaftis at PFF. So you're really getting a lot of impact from both of these guys. Not as many in terms of the snap count from Wharton, but, again, he's getting a lot when it comes to these passing downs that you are expecting that to happen. And then you look at the side of Jalen Hurts, why I like these guys in the first place. Jalen Hurts, being a mobile quarterback in himself, is going to naturally take more sacks. He's taken 11 this postseason, 38 during the regular season. Kansas City 4th in blitz rate this year, 2nd in quarterback knockdown percentage, 5th in pressure rate, 6th in hurry percentage. So the opportunity is going to be there, Jeff. And these are your top 2 guys. And if at least one of them can come through, ideally Wharton with the better price. But, I'm going to set myself up here to where at least if one of them comes through that we're getting a little bit of profit. So I think either of those guys are a good look from a defensive prop standpoint.
Danny, let's look at a few more before we get you out of here. We mentioned Jalen Hurts earlier with his legs, and this is one I was actually on with my guy John Jansen yesterday in Philadelphia, and he actually kind of liked this angle as well. I'm not as confident on the Hurts passing yardage one, but 199.5. We saw Hurts have a huge game against Philadelphia or against Kansas City 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. You like this over on 199.5.
Yeah, the rest of the market's ticking up a little bit, so it's just kind of getting the better of the number here with this one. And then falling into what I think the game plan is going to be, or rather the game flow. And I told you, yes, I have the futures bet on the Eagles, but I do think objectively Kansas City is the right side in this game. And if that's going to be the case, they're probably going to be leading toward the end, right? And then Philadelphia will need to throw the ball to keep up or try to win. So that should in itself boost up Jalen Hurts with his passing yards. But more importantly, I like that Spags has these couple of weeks to kind of game plan from a defensive standpoint in terms of how to, if you even can, contain Saquon Barkley. And whether or not that's possible, we'll see. But I think they're going to try to force Jalen Hurts into these situations where the game is dictated based on him, right? Not as much with Saquon Barkley. So if you can somehow do that, that will force Jalen Hurts to have to throw the ball more. Now, whether or not that's going to be successful, again, remains to be seen. But you are getting a number that is lower than where it typically should be. Now, again, we haven't seen Jalen Hurts really light it up because of that impact from Saquon Barkley. But this is a game where he's probably going to have to, right? You can't just rely on Saquon for all 4 quarters against this Kansas City team in the freaking Super Bowl. So our projections have him at about over 205. So right now it's about a strong lean. I haven't played it yet, but if you're also looking for a different angle on Jalen Hurts, that would be the next best prop bet in my estimation, would be him over 199.5 passing yards. Wouldn't really venture to jump in with anything over that, but I do think there's a little bit of value with him sub 200.
And then you can go the other way and middle the thing and mine at 210 here at the South Point on the under. So there you go. All right, Danny, before we let you go, the wild card scenario here in this game. And again, I mentioned this last week a ton, including with the interview with Ian Eagle, which, by the way, if you haven't watched that on YouTube, go ahead and pull that up at Sports by the Book, both an interview and also if you want the short clip of the answer to the question I'm about to ask Danny, which I know the answer to already. There's always a Kansas City Chief or two that comes out of left field. Now, your pick is not as out of left field as some, but The first Super Bowl championship, it was Damian Williams who had the huge game. The first time against the Eagles, it was Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore who made huge plays in that game. Last year, McCole Hardman caught the game-winning touchdown. This year, look, I'll bring up my wild card on Sunday's show. But Danny, your wild card is a little more of a prominent name, but it is still not one of the two that you would think of with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, a little bit of a wild card in the sense of not a generic guy to win the MVP if the Chiefs do win, but yeah, Xavier Worthy, 40-1, man. I mean, he's a player he's not on the outside, but in terms of who you actually think has a chance to win the MVP, your first thought's going to be Mahomes, right? Then coming up next would realistically narrative based would be Travis Kelce. So Xavier Worthy comes after that in my kind of pecking order here. And honestly, I would put Worthy over Travis Kelce. Look, Worthy 11 of 13 during this postseason, 130 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 carries for 8 yards. The big reason why Worthy gets the nod over Travis Kelce, price alone, I found a 40-1 out here. There might be better in other jurisdictions. But because you have that dynamic from Worthy to where he can kill you in the rushing game as well, right? That's a different area that he can bring to the table. I mean, one of the speediest guys, if not the speediest guy in the NFL, and is very trusted by Mahomes and Andy Reid at this stage. It's slowly but surely increased as the season's gone on to now it's someone where they need to have a good game in order for them to have success, especially against this prolific defense that is the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's worth throwing a little bit of pizza money on Xavier Worthy. And Jeff, to go a little bit outside of that, Kareem Hunt kind of makes a decent case, but it scares you with if Pacheco ends up getting a little bit more action in the backfield, though it should be Hunt leading the way. Hunt, I saw at about 70-1. But outside of that, for a receiver who could be that wonky kind of unique player, I think Hollywood Brown is the next guy.
There we go.
And obviously, I don't know who your guy's going to be, so I'm excited to hear. But I think Hollywood Brown, if you want to go a step further, would be that kind of strange receiver to prop up and have a very impactful game.
All right, I'll go a step deeper, Danny. When I was going through my props, the 3 names that popped on mine, Noah Gray, DeAndre Hopkins, which is strange saying DeAndre Hopkins an oddball, but he's barely been utilized in this postseason, and Samaje Perine. Those are the 3 that popped as the potential off-the-radar guys for Kansas City. Also, by the way, Danny, my favorite prop that I at least had on my list was Grant Calcaterra over a half of a receiving yard, which is almost assuredly going to end up making my prop list. Just catch a ball for 1 yard and then done. That's it. That's all we need.
Well, you know what's happening there. It's either he's dropping a wide open pass or he's catching it behind the line of scrimmage.
Danny, the 1 for -2 is 100% happening in that spot. 100% happening if I end up playing that. So he's Danny Burke, Sportscastic, or Stokastic, I should say, in the OddShopper, where you can find Danny's work at Danny Burke 5 on the tweets. DB, we'll have to get you back soon for some college basketball thoughts and NBA thoughts in the next few weeks. But thanks for hanging with us this morning.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure, Jeff. Thanks for having me on and enjoy the game.
Absolutely. You as well. Danny Burke, everyone. All right. Before we get out of here today, because I think we should at least talk about some stuff that's going on today, right? Yeah, a little bit. College hoops, real quick. We start in the CAA. Horrible matchup, all things considered, in West Long Branch, New Jersey. Monmouth and Hampton. We're going to lay the 3.5 with the Hawks of Monmouth. This is an ugly matchup. I'm not sure if Monmouth should be favored by more than the possession against many teams in this conference, but this is one of them that you can get away with laying the points with Monmouth. It just got off to really an awful start. They've been playing better, 1-2 games in a row. They've actually won 4 straight home games in conference play, including beating Charleston in there. So they've been much better at home in West Long Branch at the Ocean First Bank Center. So we'll lay the 3.5 with the Hawks of Monmouth in that one. And then we'll keep it. Wow, how did I end up on all these CAA things? Drexel. We'll lay 2.5 with Drexel at home against William and Mary. William and Mary, the home road difference is sizable at this point, at least for me. 2 straight road games losing by double figures. Home games, they've been much better. They just beat Charleston by 15, so it is a potential letdown as well for William and Mary. I just do not like their defense either. Again, William and Mary, a program that has never made the NCAA tournament, but I like that. I like the Dragons at home. We'll lay the 2.5 on that one. No play on the Big Ten game of the night. Ohio State and Maryland feels right. Ohio State should be 2 or 2.5 at home. Those are the numbers in the market right now. I wouldn't do anything. Maryland's much better at home than on the road, so at least just keep that in mind today with them being on the road here in this one. Hofstra and Northeastern will lay the 3.5 with Hofstra at home. As always with the Pride, big question of offense. What are we getting offensively for them? They are phenomenal on defense, as we know, but we have to see what we're getting offensively for them. I just don't think Northeastern's defense is good enough to at least keep, again, you got to keep Hofstra in the 50s probably to win this game, cover the 3.5. If Hofstra gets to 60, I think that Speedy Claxton and squad will cover this number. All right, we go to the OVC. We haven't been there much at all this year. Morehead State, Southeast Missouri State, 2 teams that are really, again, Morehead might win the league, but this is just a testament that this league is not very strong. So this is not a play anymore. I liked it at 2.5. I actually bet it last night at 2.5 because I didn't think it'd hold up, and it did not. No play now at 4. Be very careful. Don't lay the worst of the number in this game. Yeah, I know a lot of people. I know this is what you're attracted to. Southeast Missouri State and Morehead State. But, hey, you got to find the smaller conferences here as we go along. North Dakota State, UMKC. This is an elite mascot matchup, by the way. The Bison and the Roos, because there's a lot of kangaroos roaming around Kansas City, guys, as we know. I'll lay the 3 on the road with the Bison. Just a better basketball team. I thought this should have come closer to 6 with North Dakota State on the road in this one. Good game on the hill tonight. San Francisco and St. Mary's. I'm a little bit angry at myself that I didn't just take the 6 last night. I thought that was too much. It was. This is the proper number. Watch this game in game. See how San Francisco can stay in with the slow tempo. This is a really good game. Dons are underrated. St. Mary's is the best team in that league and well on their way to another NCAA tournament appearance for Andy Bennett and company. And then the last one, Oregon State and Wazoo. I liked Wazoo last night at 7.5. I still like them at 6.5. I would not go much lower than that. I thought this should have come 5.5, 5. But be careful. Don't lay the worst of the number now that there's 6s predominantly in the market on this game. All right. That's what I got for you here today. Thanks to Duane. Thanks to Chris for popping in. Thanks to Danny Burke as well. Coming your way on the channel later today, I'm going to be catching up with one of the best in the gambling space, our good friend Captain Jack. We'll talk with him a little bit later in the day. Be on the lookout for that interview. Sports by the Book on YouTube right here as well. Thanks to the chat. Attila with the like in the new set. Roger Long likes both teams over 20. Dean, Ryan in there. Thank you as always for watching along on the stream. We'll see you again next time. Live next at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Kenny White will be here with his official plays on the big game. Right here, Sports by the Book, here at the South Point Studio.